Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Mortgage Coach weekly coaching call every Thursday morning, 9 o'clock Pacific. We're here to connect as a community of like-minded, like-valued mortgage professionals, and hopefully this is the best sales meeting in the industry. My name is Dave Savage. I'm the CEO of Mortgage Coach. If this is the first time you've been on our weekly call, please connect with me on LinkedIn, DT Savage, and I urge everybody to like us on Facebook. We are constantly updating who's going to be our guest on the call and what the topics are from week to week, along with all kinds of other great stuff. So this week we have a return guest, Anthony. How you doing, my friend? Welcome to the call.
I'm wonderful, man. Thanks for having me back.
Well, it's great to have you. I think the content you covered last time was very market relevant. You know, getting meetings with big realtors, successful businesses. You know, you're an expert in B2B, so everything you teach is very relevant to what loan officers need today.
I think so. I mean, B2B is tough and it's a challenging space, and we can give people here some more tools, some more ideas, and some strategies they can go put back to work as soon as they leave.
Yeah, well, I'm going to bring you into the conversation in about 5 minutes. Just want to share some things, some success stories, and set the table. So stay tuned, and also feel free to jump in if there's something you want to add. As I am sharing some success stories in Mortgage Coach land, feel free to jump in.
Careful opening that door. Careful opening that door.
Hey, this is a conversation. The door is open. All right. So hey, everybody, I want to make sure you saw this success story. I'm not going to read it out loud, but it was pretty awesome. I get emails, I think just about daily, from Mortgage Coach members that are having some type of success. They've got a strategy that really worked for them. They've had a personal breakthrough. You know, we did get the permission of this Mortgage Coach professional, even though we didn't put the person's name in here. We did have their permission. So anything you send me is confidential, and if we ever do share it on Facebook or with the community, we've got the permission to do so. But this one was just awesome because it was a mortgage professional who was really struggling, you know, closing less than 3 loans a month, obviously less than 15, and just by adjusting what she was doing some new strategies, 10 loans a month. So I think it's just great inspiration that even if you relied on refis in the past, even if you're struggling to close 3 loans a month, you're just 1 month away from success. It's just a question of implementing some of the things that we're teaching on these coaching calls and doing the right things. So it can really turn around quite quickly for you. So I want to do a quick survey before I share this next success story because it's really related to a teaching that I've been talking about on these calls from week to week. I want to know if you've been putting your realtors in the loop of your edge links. So just to make sure you're all clear on what I'm suggesting there, when you send an email to one of your home buyers with an actual edge link, hopefully there's a video attached to it, are you also CCing the realtor so they're in the loop? So real quick question, yes or no, are you implementing and doing this every single time you send a home buyer analysis? And again, I want to emphasize you should be getting the home buyer's permission. This is not just something you do randomly. But let's face it, you are part of a team. The realtor refers you to the mortgage. You provide advice to the client. Again, there's no personal information in a total cost analysis other than their name and the property information. Again, with their permission, are you putting the realtor in the loop by CCing them? So by the way, only about 55% of you have voted so far. So let's get this up above 70% so we can get into the meat of the content. So come on, let's push the voting. So let's see. The survey results are in. And, you know, again, it's pretty much 50-50, although I think the no will beat the yes. So I'm not going to say I'm disappointed by that, but we have been teaching this. And I will tell you this is one of my biggest takeaways from my road trip at Sales Mastery and the hundreds of Mortgage Coach loan officers that I talked to at that event was this is a game-changing strategy. Putting your realtor in the loop, having them see the value of your advice, and now with the mobile, it's really easy. It's even easier for realtors to have access to your advice. So if you're not doing this, hopefully this call will be the last time you're not doing this. So I'm going to bring in a success story, Mr. Tim Lamb. Hey, by the way, Tim, can you guys see my screen? I want to make sure that it went back into presentation mode.
Yep, I can see it.
All right. So I'm going to bring Tim into the conversation. He sent one of those emails to me last week where he has been putting his realtor in the loop. And I just thought it was a great success story. I thought, let's bring Tim into the conversation to share what he's doing and how he's doing it. And my goal is to get 99% of you who come to these coaching calls to be implementing this really simple, really valuable strategy. So, Tim, I've kind of teed up your email here, and I will walk through. I started with the actual borrower piece. If you wouldn't mind telling the story, what you did here and what kind of feedback you're getting.
Hi, Dave. Thanks. Appreciate you allowing me to share the success that I'm having. And obviously, everyone can do the exact same thing with mortgage quotes. It's amazing technology and a great differentiation tool. So everyone that's not doing this, you definitely need to do it. So background on this. This client was referred to me by a past client. So I got a referral from a past client. I had contact with this real estate agent previously, but we had never done business together on the buy side of a transaction. So in putting the total cost analysis together and putting together their house that they found, different pricing options and different loan strategies, I had copied the Sheila King in on the transaction, which is a typical thing that I do. I always want the agent to know exactly what the financing is that I'm working on for their borrowers, so that way they know if the borrower comes and says, hey, I'm pre-qualified for $300,000 and my numbers only show $225,000, first of all, there's a challenge there, so there's a disconnect. So I want my agents to know what I'm providing on the financing side of things. This agent was completely blown away. I don't know if you had the next email that she had sent back to me.
Before you do that, I'll go to that next couple of emails. First, I just want to comment, everybody, how well formatted the email it is, how professional the email is, the fact that Tim took the extra, 15 seconds to customize the HTML link so that it was very obviously relevant to the client. It's got their name. It's got home loan report. If you're buying a home, is this a different experience than the average loan officer? And I think the answer is yes. Tim is obviously professional. He obviously took the time to deliver some valuable advice. So I just want to call out what I think this is a best practice email. And if your emails are not this professional, if they're not this clean, if they're not this obviously valuable for your customers, then there's a level of execution that you could be doing better. So kudos. So the other thing I thought was cool, Tim, was that you then prodded the realtor. You were like, you didn't just expect them to click on it, although my teaching to everybody on this call, you should be training your referral partners that, hey, you send me a referral, I forward them home buyer analysis, or whatever the term is that you call it, you could click on that from your mobile device. So hopefully over time you're able to train your realtors that they should be clicking on this so that you know what they communicated. But I thought it was really cool that you pushed out a reminder to your client. So do you do that pretty often, Tim?
I do it all the time. Actually, going back to that one thing, that hyperlink piece, where I used to just have all the letters and the numbers that go along there when you do that regular hyperlink. And as soon as I changed this to customize it to the borrower's last name and put in a home loan report, which I completely stole from someone else on one of these other calls, it actually increased the number of times that the report was open. So it's a right click on that hyperlink, adjust it, edit it, and put in whoever the borrower's name in that home loan report. It's been a game changer as far as the number of times the report actually gets opened. Specifically to the question that you're asking here is anytime it's a new agent that I've never connected with or hadn't done any business with or want to do business with, obviously, I always prompt them with this little quick email. Hey, whatever, check out this link. You probably haven't seen this before. My clients are loving this new technology, and they completely are. I'm not lying at all, but I'm definitely prompting them to, hey, I'm trying to be different. I'm trying to be professional. I'm doing something else in the market that you're not getting from your current partner, and just trying to create a little differentiation to have them take a look at me the next time around.
Yeah, so again, another boom. He's able to send this link, this experience. Now he's in the process of training his realtor that this exists and it's here. Tim, my only feedback to you is I would remind them that it's mobile optimized. So I think it might not be a bad idea to just, and you can click on the link from your mobile device. The more you can get your realtors to be going through your advice and your proposal to their client with a mobile, again, more differentiation, and you're making it easy for them to see anywhere and everywhere they're at. So just a recommendation for your consideration, Tim.
Perfect. I'll take it. Thank you.
All right. So here's what the realtor said. So Tim, go ahead and put some color around it.
Well, I got this email back from her, and it's not the first nor the last of these types of emails where either a borrower, a consumer, a real estate agent, a financial planner has sent me something back saying this thing, like, wow, that's the best thing I've ever seen, or that's a cool thing, or that's fabulous, whatever we've got here. And my follow-up action to this was I picked up the phone, I called her, and I set up an appointment with her, and I have that lunch scheduled for this Thursday. So I did not let it hang. I did not let it fester. I didn't do anything. As soon as I got this email, I picked up the phone and said, I know you're loving that. So let's meet. Let's talk a little bit more about this, how it could benefit the rest of your clients. And it's to be continued because I'm meeting with her on Thursday.
All right. So by the way, I don't know that I even connected the dots on that one myself. This was a new realtor relationship. So I think you expanded the value prop. What I've been teaching and evangelizing, guys, is that for all the referrals that you get from your realtor clients, this is your sales experience. This is how you should be delivering value to those referrals. And when the referral partner refers it, make sure the first 5 seconds of your video you're honoring, you're making a hero out of the referral partner. Then you're spending a couple seconds on the goals of the home buyer, and then a brief synopsis. So it sounds like Tim has expanded the strategy. He used this to actually get a meeting with a new realtor. So fantastic, awesome, and Tim, thanks for being transparent, sharing this strategy with the community. Everybody, just to make sure it's really clear what we're talking about here, you create your edge video, a link in an email to a home buyer, you link in the realtor. Again, in this particular success story, this was not an existing realtor relationship. This was a new realtor relationship. And what a great way to start that conversation. And as we get into how to get the big meeting, here's another way to get the big meeting. So hopefully the takeaway for everybody is you've got the mobile app downloaded and that you're doing this with each and every client. So Tim, before I bring in our special guest today, any last comments for all your peers on the call? How often are you doing this, and any recommendations for everybody?
First of all, I thank you, Dave, for the opportunity and for creating such an awesome product. I love it. I use it on every transaction. I'm copying the borrower as well as the real estate agent in on every transaction, so they're completely up to date. And I've also made a couple changes in my business. So first of all, this report that we're talking about right here has been viewed 31 times. So I have no idea who is actually reviewing that, whether it's the borrower looking at it over times, if it's Sheila looking at it multiple times. I'm not sure, but it's been shared 31 times, viewed 31 times, just on that one report. So it's amazing. Second thing that I would highly recommend is add the video component to it. I've been doing that for the last 2 or 3 months, and I've definitely seen a more connected borrower as well as real estate agent. So I just recommend everyone, don't be scared of your face. Jump it out there, put it out there. They're going to see your face when you walk in the office anyways, so you might as well introduce yourself ahead of time. So it's a great, great tool. Thank you, Dave.
Hey, really appreciate you sharing, and I'm going to bring in our special guest. I did want to remind everybody, we sent out an email this morning that tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock Pacific. This is not a member event. This is for non-members, so it is going to be a demo of Edge, an absolute sales pitch. The reason I'm telling everybody on today's coaching call is if you're on this call and you're not a member, which is probably not likely, but I'm sure there's a few, you can sign up for this on our Facebook page. And if you know someone in the office, if you're a manager on this call, let your team know we are going to be doing a demo of our mobile strategy tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and you can sign up on our Facebook page. So let's get into the big topic today. And we've already started it with a great success story and a great strategy to get that meeting with Dream Realtors. But to really crush it and just knock it home, we're going to bring in Anthony. And Anthony, I be hesitant with your last name just because this is only our second call, and I don't want to I don't want to mispronounce it. But if you could introduce yourself and just share a little bit about yourself before we get into the meat of the content and how you're going to help the mortgage coach community get meetings with big realtors.
I would love to. So the last name is really a lot easier than it looks. It's IANNARINO. So you just drop the I. And I don't know why the family didn't drop the I when we came over. It makes a Y sound if you're Italian. So it's IANNARINO if we're there, but we're not. So IANNARINO, I am a sales coach and a consultant. I write a blog called The Sales Blog. You can go to thesalesblog.com to sign up for my weekly newsletter. And I consult with organizations, some of whom you will know by their names, some of them you won't. The names that you'd recognize are people like Accenture and Abbott Labs and C.H. Robinson. Those are people who measure their revenue in billions. But I also work with organizations as small as $11 million, and I've got some clients that are in that $100 million range. And I spend most of my time working on fundamentals and the things that allow salespeople to succeed in B2B sales now. So a lot of things have changed. You guys have felt that change as much or more than anybody. And we're here to share some ideas about how to get meetings with what I call your dream clients, and Dave has now adopted as dream realtors. Can I rant for 1 second before we start?
Absolutely.
Okay, so here's the thing. I listen to Tim talk, and I see this, and I think, why would you not do this every single time? And there's a difference between having a business strategy and not having a business strategy. And so I'll say this if you're listening. If your strategy is to do something sporadically and occasionally, you're not going to get results. And I'm not saying you're not going to get bad results. I'm saying you're not going to get results because it's too sporadic. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes is not a business strategy. Always is a business strategy. So always doing what you know works, always sending the link, always including the realtor. It just has to be part of who you are. And if you want to, we'll go through the rest of this. If you want to get that big meeting, it's about making the deposits in these relationships and behaving so professionally that you drive a wedge between your competitors and you, where you make it that there's no longer any choice because we behave this way and other people behave a different way. And the strategy is always, it's 100% all the time. Thanks for letting me say that, Dave. I had to get it off my chest.
No, I like it, and obviously it's a good message, and we both know that is the path to success and really what differentiates the best from the rest. One thing I would like you to think about as we're going through this is in our business, kind of a milestone of a certain level of success is north of 5 loans consistently a month. If you're closing north of 5 loans a month, you've got it. You've got a really successful mortgage practice. Now, on this call, we have people that are closing 20 loans a month, but we also have a lot of folks that have not gotten to that 5 loan a month point. And part of what I think you just said, if there was nothing that you could get from this call and you're closing less than 5 loans a month, it's probably because you don't have an awesome sales process that you're implementing and you're executing with each and every client each and every time. So I think that was a really big takeaway to kick off the call. And 2, Anthony, I wanted you just to realize as you share your thoughts, kind of put it in the view of that top producer who wants to take it to the next level, and also put it in the view of that person they're just struggling. They're not at that 5 loan a month milestone. All right, my man?
Let's do that.
Let's rock it out. So the first slide is all about appointment setting, which is obviously where it all starts.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about this because here's the world that we live in now. I'll just do a quick bit of setup, and we'll zip through some of these slides. And I'm going to have prompt you to move them for me. But here's what's happened. The world out there is full of a bunch of charlatans that are telling you you don't have to pick up the phone anymore. If you get a nice website, leads are going to come to you. You're going to do great business without having to work very hard. There's lots of choices because we have social media now and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't buy it. And I know why. Because I go into sales organization and sales organization, each one with a different set of challenges and problems, but one thing consistent. Using all the tools outside of the phone isn't enough for them to make their number. So we still need to be able to talk to people on the phone. And some of you may be young listening to this. I'm 46, so I'll do full disclosure here. Young means anything younger than me now. But the really young people, they hate the telephone. They're petrified of it, and they're struggling because they've been made all these promises that they don't have to make appointments using the telephone anymore. And I keep telling them this, listen, if you don't like the telephone, you're going to hate what comes next, because what comes next is video. I have clients right now who will only speak to me if we can be face-to-face on Skype because that's their preference. So we've got to be able to deal with human beings because we're in a sales role, and we like face-to-face best, and second best we like video, and third best we like the phone. But most of our relationships still start with a phone call. We've got to be able to pick up the phone and schedule that appointment. So we'll zip through this. You want to zip me to the next slide?
6 principles to cold calling. Let's get it on.
Okay, so you're going to pick up the phone and call realtors, and you're going to ask them for an appointment. So let me give you some principles. The first thing you have to recognize, whenever you pick up the phone and call somebody who's not expecting your call, you're making a cold call. Whether it's warm, whether you're connected with them on LinkedIn, if they're not expecting that call, it's cold. You're asking for their time and a commitment, so you're going to hear no right out of the gate. It doesn't mean no. It really doesn't mean anything. It just comes with the territory. If you're going to succeed at booking appointments with your dream realtor, you've got to differentiate yourself with value. You've got to be somebody that says, this is why you should spend time with me, because I can create value for you. We can do more together. We can create better results. And if you don't sound like that and you can't differentiate yourself, you're not going to get an appointment. You've got to identify how you create value. And I teach something I call level 4 value creation, but you have to put on this mantle that I am valuable to other people and I'm here to help them further their business. You will resist the idea of me telling you you need a script, and I will tell you that you're already using a script. It's just probably not as good of a script as you could have. You need to think about the language choices you make. You need to write them down. You need to get them into your nervous system and then forget about it and go forward. Your singular goal is an appointment. So when we make cold calls, we get people who pick up the phone and they feel like they have to do a bunch of relationship building and rapport building and trust gaining. And the phone's not the right tool for that. The phone's the right tool to say, listen, I want to come and get to meet you face-to-face, understand your challenges, share with you some of the ways we could make a difference. And you're going to get the pushback that says, no, I'm too busy or whatever the case may be. But when you start getting into the needs analysis and you start saying, tell me about your business, tell me how things are going for you, you're undoing your ability to actually get that appointment that you want. And then finally, you have to remember this. Everybody's busy. Everybody's being asked to produce greater financial results than at any time in history with fewer resources. You sound like a salesperson because you are one. They hear that. They say no because they say no to everybody. You're going to have to push and say, listen, I understand that you have challenges with time or you already have a relationship or whatever the case may be, and we'll tackle those objections here. But if you're not prepared to push and ask a second time, then you're not going to be able to get the appointments that you really want.
So
you want to zip us forward, or you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I'll go forward just a second. I'll tell you when I'm there. So a couple things, guys. I would love for a few folks that feel that you've really got a solid script in how you have that value conversation as a mortgage coach leader. I'd love to have you email that to me. I like this topic a lot. I think there's a lot of members and a lot of loan officers I talk to that are closing less than 5 loans a month that are not incredibly confident about what you say and how you say it to get that meeting. And I also think there's a whole lot of people that because you're not completely confident about what you're saying and how you're saying it, you don't have the confidence to really push for the appointment. One last thought before we move on is I also think when I meet with folks that are not achieving their goals, it's because you don't totally believe that you're unique and different. You feel like they're busy and I'm bugging them. And here's the deal. It kind of comes back to what Anthony said to start this whole thing off. If you truly are delivering, like Tim, that amazing sales experience, that amazing advice to the client, he doesn't have to fake his confidence. He knows without a question that he is one of the absolute best mortgage professionals in that market. He knows to the core of his heart that if any home buyer talks to another loan officer, they're just not plain getting the best advice because he delivers the best advice to every client. And he knows that. So when it comes to going that extra mile and having that constructive conflict to get the meeting, he's doing it because he knows he's great. So I want to, one, tie back in order to execute on these 6 principles, you got to do what Anthony started with. You got to deliver that awesome experience every time, or you will not have the confidence and the energy to execute on this. And 2, you do need to have the script. You need to be confident with the script, because if you're not confident with the script, you're not going to have the confidence to follow through and execute this. So I know I said a lot. I'm going to close it with, please send me a script from the community that we can talk about next week. And as I kick off the next call, we'll talk about some really confident talking points from a mortgage coach loan officer, how to execute on the slide. All right, Anthony. Anything you want to add before we go on to cold calling methods?
Let's move forward and give them some more things to work with. Here's a quick methodology for you to think of. It's only got 4 parts, and we'll zip through these with 1 slide for each one of them. The first thing you have to do is identify yourself. So many people make calls and they start off with something like, hi, how are you, or good morning. And you have to remember that your client's at a disadvantage because you know who they are and they don't know who you are. Then you have to talk about how you create value. And then you have to ask for the commitment that you need and share a sales call value proposition. And a sales call value proposition is simply, what are they going to get out of meeting with you? And it's not about what you get. We know you're going to get discovery. You're going to build an opportunity. What do they get by saying yes? And then prepare for objections. So let's look at each one of these quickly so we can take some time with them. The first thing is identify yourself. So for me, I just simply say, good morning. This is Anthony IANNARINO. I'm with B2B Sales Coaching Consultancy. I don't say, how are you today? I don't feel like that kind of rapport building serves the client. I think they want to know who's on their phone. And then if we can zip to the next slide, they want to know why you're on their phone. And the more direct and quickly you get to that, the better success you'll have. So why am I on their phone? And I say something like, I help sales organizations produce better results by building better pipelines, compressing their sales cycles so they go faster, and improving the profitability of each deal. Okay, so let's stop here for 1 second and talk about what this is. I know the pain that my customers have. I know the challenges that they're faced with, and I know how I create value for them. I help them improve their sales results by working on this kind of stuff so the front end of their pipeline gets better. When the front end of their pipeline gets better, the rest of their pipeline gets better too. It's amazing how that happens. I help them compress the sales cycle by looking at their process and making sure that I have the commitments that I need at every stage. So I have a commitment that I need at qualifying. I have a commitment at needs analysis. I have commitments for presentations. I have commitments for negotiations and acquisition. And when I go into sales organizations and I see they don't have these, their sales cycles take about twice as long as they should because they don't get the commitments that they should get. And then I improve the profitability of their deals by teaching them to, 1, create more value, and then 2, by creating more value, earn the right to capture more of the value that they create in the way of a higher price and higher margins. I own businesses, and my businesses on average are about 18% more expensive than my competitors. And if you create more value, you're entitled to do it. So I know when I talk to just about anybody that they can see the problem that I'm addressing here in this statement in their own organization. It's very difficult for me to go to a VP of sales and say, hey, listen, would you like a better pipeline? No. Would you like, if your deals close faster? Absolutely not. Would you like to improve the profitability? I mean, anytime I ask these questions, it's yes. How do we do that? That's exactly what we're struggling with. So one thing I would challenge you to think about while we're here is to think about 6 problems that you solve for your clients. What are you doing that really creates value for them? And then make these broad enough that when you talk to a realtor, you're talking to somebody who can look at what you say, listen to those words, and see themselves reflected back in it. So when you say, does your client have the information that they need to make an informed decision? Do they really understand the financial analysis that goes into buying and financing their own home? And these are questions that I would ask to say, here's 6 problems, and then I would try to find the 3 that kind of work together magically to say, if I talk about these 3, I'm going to cover 85% of the people I talk to right out of the gate. Dave, what do you think about the problems? Can you name them off?
Are you asking me to name off the problems?
Yeah.
So I think in the realtor's case, there's the obvious problems. I want, loans closing on time. I need innovative products to sell properties. I need more buyer leads. I think there's the normal and the obvious ones. My message to everybody is you want to hit on those, but you also want to talk about things that are innovative. And I think the most innovative thing that you as mortgage coach professionals can bring to the table is how can you bring more urgency to home buyers? How can you bring creative financial strategies to listings that will help sell loans faster? In today's market, every mortgage professional needs to be able to close loans on time. You need to keep your promise. And I think by and large, most of the loan officers in the business today that have good realtor relationships, they're pretty good lenders. They know how to do that. But if you want to unseat a pretty good lender, you need to do something beyond that. And I say it's create urgency and have creative finance strategies that sell properties. So those are some some thoughts and some strategies to differentiate yourself at the point of sale.
There's two big pieces you just mentioned. So I might say something like, we help real estate organizations and realtors like you create urgency on the case of the buyer to help them get into their new home faster, and we help them with creative financing so that they can actually afford to make the decision that they're making and have the tools and the insight to be able to make a good decision with both of our help. I mean, whatever that language sounds like for you, I want them to hear their challenge in that statement. And if they hear that challenge, then you become relevant. They're trying to solve their business challenges. And the more that they can hear the solution and what you're saying, the easier it is for you to get that appointment.
Absolutely.
So let's move on to the next slide.
Hey, one more innovative one in today's market, especially everybody on this call, you're technology savvy, or you want to be, or you wouldn't be a mortgage coach member. You believe in video and mobile, or you wouldn't be investing in our SaaS solution. So make sure that you are bringing that into the conversation and you're being that leader to realtors around, hey, how to use video and mobile to create urgency with home buyers and attract more echo boomers. So I'm not saying lead with that, and you got to know when to tailor that and bring that into the conversation. But to unseat another lender in today's market, you can't sound like everybody else. You can't sell on, I've got the lowest rate. You can't sell on, I'll fund your loans on time. That is noise. They expect that. So let's move on. Ask for the commitment.
Oops. This is my favorite part. At some point, you have to ask. And it's very simple. Once you've introduced your value creation, you have the right and the obligation to ask for the commitment. So you can say something like this: these words don't matter as much as you get the principles right. I'm calling to schedule a 20-minute meet and greet where I can learn about your organization, share some of what's going on in our community in loans and mortgages. In the future, if I can help you produce better results, I want you to know us. And even if you never meet us or you never decide to do business with me, you'll at least know what state-of-the-art in our industry looks like and what you should expect from any mortgage partner. What does Thursday look like? And just a quick funny story about this, what does Thursday look like? I've used this slide now for about 6 years. And I went back into one sales organization and I looked at their calendars, and their Thursdays are jam-packed. And I had to say, listen, change the script to say Tuesday or Wednesday. It doesn't matter what day it is. I just put Thursday in there because I was writing a script. But you need to tell them what you want, and you want this meeting, so you ask for the meeting. You tell them what the value prop is. The value prop is, I'm going to share some information with you about what's going on in our space. I'm going to learn about you. And if you need us, you're going to know enough about what's going on in the industry to know what you can expect from a partner like us, and as part of your value chain, creating value for your customers. They have to know that whether or not they decide to work with you, this meeting is worth their time. And here's another little trick that I've learned and picked up over some period of time. If you ask for an hour-long meeting, it's hard to say yes because the commitment's too great. For some reason, 20 minutes, the commitment is so low that it's easy for people to say yes to. It means that you understand that you're there to create value. It means that you're not going to dilly-dally and stretch and try to find something to talk about that doesn't have anything to do with business value. It's easy to say yes to, and all we want is the yes. Are the meetings normally 20 minutes? Not on your life. As soon as we start talking about value and sharing what we can do and listening to their problems and challenges, easily they stretch to an hour, and for some of the people that I work with, even longer than that. But you've got to ask, and you need a sales call value proposition, and you have to answer this question. why should they agree to meet with you? They get lots of calls from lots of people that look and sound like you. What makes you different, and why am I going to give up my time to meet with you now?
So couple things. I love how you set the whole thing up, the science and art of selling. I think the 20 minutes that's a little nugget of science. I see a lot of folks, and I still see folks doing this, just when are you available to meet? Just letting the customer figure out when they're available. And here's all the things wrong with that. Most importantly, they have to think about it. They have to look at my calendar. When do I want to do it? I mean, that's a big ask to figure out when I want to meet. So I hope you heard, the Tuesday concept. Personally, I like driving people into, can you meet Tuesday after 2 o'clock or Thursday morning? I mean, it's just a personal preference, or I even give specific times. But the more specific the time, the easier it is for that customer, or the client, the realtor, to just look at their calendar, yes or no. So don't do it because it's good for you, but do it because it's a much easier ask. So anybody that's on this call and you're just asking people for random meetings, which I still see people do all the time, just stop doing that. Never, ever, ever, ever do that again.
Let me share a little bit of the science with you on this side, too, if you want to play with some science. So, Dave, what does your Thursday look like?
It's busy.
Thursday's busy?
Yeah, very busy.
What works better?
I guess I have an opening at 2 o'clock.
Okay. What works better is the follow-up question. And you can't answer what Thursday looks like. You can say busy or Thursday's fine, what time. But it's not blue, it's not red, it's not large, it's not small. What does Thursday look like? It doesn't look like anything. It's a date on your calendar. To figure out what Thursday looks like, it's an assumptive close where you have to look at your calendar and decide what it looks like. And if you hear I'm busy, what works better? I'm still sticking with the assumption that I'm a value creator, and I earned the right by being a value creator to come and spend 20 minutes with you.
Yeah, you did. You got me into that time. The second question was the clincher, though. If you asked the first without the second, it would have been awkward.
It would be a disaster.
So one last thought before we move off this slide and get into the notes on the next slide. I want to remind everybody, when it comes to getting the meeting with the big realtor, you are all armed with a couple awesome tools. So one, what Tim did, where he had, it wasn't a realtor he was working with. He CC'd the realtor on an awesome home buying piece of advice, and now he leveraged that into a meeting. That was cool. The other thing that you guys all can do is you can identify specific properties that big realtors have had on the market for 2 to 3 months, so you know there's pain because it didn't sell quickly. You can then put a little thought into what would be some creative finance strategies, and everybody on this call, you can create a link with a video wrapping some finance strategies around a listing, and then you can send that to 4 realtors. You know which realtors actually clicked on the link, and now you're calling with a great value statement. Would you like to have a meeting where I can share how I can help you sell some of these properties faster by, and speak directly to the finance strategy, speak directly to how you're using video and mobile if it's relevant. So that's unique. That's different, and you're delivering value. So we, by the way, Anthony, we have a lot of our top loan officers that use that strategy all the time, and they're just, they're getting meetings right and left with top agents using that.
Sure. That makes perfect sense.
Cool. So let's move to the next slide. Notes.
So before you make the call, just know you don't have to do a lot of value creating to deserve to ask. Just stick to gaining the commitment. Remember, you're not trying to do a needs analysis on this call. You don't want to open up that discussion because you undo the need to have the meeting, and they're going to listen to your pitch, and then at the end it's tougher to get the commitment. And then let's deal with these, and we can zip to the next slide. So know this, regardless of whatever method or technique or language or whatever it is that you use, you are going to have objections because it comes with the territory. People are protecting their time. They're protecting their business results. They're protecting themselves from salespeople who can't create value. So I have a little 4-step methodology that I use to overcome objections or resolve concerns, if you like that language better. The first is to acknowledge the objection. The second is to embrace it, or to say that that's their truth and acknowledge that that's truth. Then to overcome it with something that's logical and relates back to your value prop. And then ask again for the appointment you need. So let's look at these one slide at a time, and we'll zip through these so that you can listen to what it sounds like and think about it. Go ahead.
By the way, before I go to the next slide, something that did come up, probably should have asked on the next slide. If I get a voicemail, do I leave a message on the voicemail? What are your thoughts on that?
I say yes, and I leave a complete message of what I want and why I'm calling and when I'm calling back. I never expect a call back. But here's the way I think of that, and it's funny. When I was a kid, I had a buddy, and whenever we were walking someplace, he could only get me with this trick one time, but he got other people with it. He would say, hey, let's go get my buddy John while we're walking around here. We'll get him to come with us. And we'd knock on the door, and then somebody would answer the door, and my buddy would be gone. He would have run, and I'm standing at the door and with somebody standing there, and I'm going, hey, I think we're here to get John. There's no John here. That particular buddy of mine happens to be in San Quentin prison, true story. But why would you knock on somebody's door and run? I mean, why would you call and then not leave a message that you've been there? I want them to know that I called. I want them to know that I have the ability to create value. I want them to know that I'm going to come call back and that I'm not going to go away. I would never hang up without leaving a message because I want to make that deposit in the relationship. Hey, I'm here. Hey, I think I have a way to help you do better business. I want to talk to you about it. And then I would leave the message that says, I will call you back next week, sometime midweek, and try to catch you again. In the meantime, I'm going to shoot you a follow-up email. And if you need anything from me, shoot me an email, and I'll follow right up with you. Or if I'm really aggressive and I've had some relationship with a realtor that suggests I could do this, instead of leaving that message, I might say, I'm going to call you back next week, but in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and send you a calendar invite because I'm in your area on Thursday. And if it works for you, just accept it. If not, just reject it and send me an alternate time, and I can make that work too.
Boom. Love it. Thank you. So let's move with the 4 steps. First one, acknowledge.
Okay. Men, we're particularly bad at this, and if we were better at it, things would go better for us in our relationships with the fairer sex. If somebody says, I have a relationship with another mortgage loan organization right now, the only thing that you can say is, I understand you have a relationship with another firm right now. That's the only answer that you can say. Anything else that comes out of your mouth is wrong. You can't say, yes, but we have this thing that we do that's different. Because what you've said is, I don't care what you say, and it doesn't matter to me how you feel about this. I still want the appointment. We'll get to that part, but the first thing is to acknowledge that you heard the objection. I don't have time right now. I understand that you don't have time right now, and everybody's busy. And I promise you I won't waste your time. Here's what. But then before you say anything after that, you have to be sure that you acknowledged it. The mistake that we make in overcoming objections is that we don't let the client know that we've listened to them, that we've heard them, and that their feelings and their needs are important to us. We can zip right through to the next one and go through the whole framework. Embrace the objection. So these people have their truths. They have things that are true to them. If they say they're busy, you have to accept that they're busy. If they say they're too busy to meet, you have to accept it. It doesn't mean that we're not going to ask again because we are. If they say they have a relationship, we're going to accept that. So we might say something that sounds like this. I understand that you already have a relationship right now. In fact, many of our clients have a lot of relationships with a lot of firms like us in our space. What I'm saying is it's okay for you to have this objection and still move forward with me. So we've got to be able to say it's your truth, and we're not going to start trying to argue with their truth. Then we can get to the part where we overcome the objection with something logical, something that makes sense, and something that ties back to our value proposition. You can pop up the next slide. So acknowledge, embrace, and then we get to overcoming it. So we might say something like, listen, many people in your space have relationships with other firms, and I understand that. But sometimes we've got the right idea, we've got the right tool, we've got the right technology for one of these major challenges like creating urgency or creative financing or really leveraging technology to connect. And I promise I'm going to be respectful of your existing relationship, but I want to share some ideas with you that you can use whether or not you ever work with me. I'd like to know enough about you that should your needs change, I want to be your first call. And if you can get those words out and you can say something that sounds like that, you got a very good shot of winning, but you have one more step, and that's you have to ask for that appointment again. You have to say, what does Thursday look like? Or you have to use Dave's language. I'm in your area on Thursday. I've got a spot at 2 o'clock. That works. I'm also back on Friday. I got a spot at 10 o'clock. That would work if it works for you. What do you look like then? And you've got to ask. And what happens when we get the second objection normally is because we go through the objection handling, and like a boxer who hits somebody and they get them on the ropes, they step back to admire their work, and then they get knocked out. You can't step back and admire your work at how well you did acknowledging, embracing, or overcoming objection. You've got to just ask. So this is your second ask. So a little bit of advice on this. You are going to get pushback. If you overcome 2 objections, fine. You get to the 3rd objection, just walk away, live to fight another day. You can make more deposits in the relationship. You can take another run at them. The second objection always sounds like this. I understand and I'm really busy. So you want to say something like, I promise I'll be respectful of your time. This is their greatest fear, that you're going to waste time. You've got to say these words. I won't waste 1 minute of it. I'll be prepared to walk out the door at 20 minutes unless you decide there's something more valuable for us to talk about. What does Thursday look like? After that, you're done. If you can't get it, you just take another stab at them later on.
Boom. Huge value. I mean, guys, this is very straightforward advice and wisdom. It's just a question of implementing and executing this each and every time. So I'm a huge fan of Anthony's blog, thesalesblog.com. I'm also going to put a link from our Facebook page to this. You now know how to get signed up with Anthony and his blog, his newsletter. If you're a manager or a leader and you want Anthony to speak at one of your big events, you have his email address. So Anthony, let's talk a little bit about a few things. I mean, I really liked the wisdom that you shared on voice messages. And I'm going to share what I think are some of the rhythms of getting meetings. Feel free to fill in gaps or challenge some of the thoughts.
Sure.
So first, I saw a lot of different questions, and I didn't bring them all into the conversation. But people were, what about voicemail? What about edge links? And what about this? And what about that? I mean, I have this belief that if I want to get a meeting with someone, I have no expectation whatsoever that I'm going to call them up, get them on the phone, and I'm going to get that meeting. I mean, I have never, I mean, it has happened before, but that's not my expectation. I mean, my expectation is if I want to get a meeting with a big dog who I know is busy, it's a 2-week to 1-month process that's going to require 7 quality touch points. A quality touch point to me is everything from a voicemail to a simple quality email following up the voicemail to, yes, an edge, if I'm a mortgage coach loan officer, an edge link. It's going to require me looking in my LinkedIn, looking for common contacts, trying to find someone that will help, get me an introduction to that person so there's some credibility with a common friend. It's going to require a lot of quality touch points to get a quality meeting with a really quality dream realtor. And so it's not about what do I do first. It's about, all of the things I'm going to do to get that meeting. So Anthony, I mean, that's kind of a belief and a thought I have and an approach to get the big meeting with the dream client. Anything to add to that or anything to edit to that?
No, I think that's right. And I had a conversation with the Salesforce earlier this week, and I had to finally stop him and ask him, who told you this was supposed to be easy? I mean, it's not easy. We have to do a lot of relationship building. We have to do a lot of work to earn the right to have that commitment. And so what I've started to teach people is to think of this as a campaign. And so how would I set that up? I just spoke in San Francisco at the Sales 2.0 conference, and I told a group of sales managers and sales leaders there, it's a campaign. So I'm going to connect with you on LinkedIn, and then I'm going to send you a VSnap video and introduce myself on video. And then I'm going to follow that up with an email that's just value creating where I'm going to share an idea. And then I'm going to follow it up with a call. And then I'm going to follow it up with some other value creating piece of content I have. So by the time we finally talk to each other, you already say, wait, this guy's a value creator. Look at all the ideas that he's generating. It makes it easier and warmer. But I'm never going to stop calling, and I'm never going to stop campaigning. I tell the story in one of the keynotes that I give. I called a client one time, a prospect 76 weeks in a row. And this is in the old days before we really had the kind of technology we had. And I had a laptop that ran Harvey McKay's Sharkware, Plymouth the Shark software, and it actually counted the number of contacts. And when I finally got this contact on the phone after 75 weeks of trying, he said, "Man, you have called me 1,000,000 times." And I said, "Well, actually, this is my 76th call." And he said, "Well, it felt like 1,000,000 to me." And he said, "You never go away." And I said, "Well, I really think I can help you." He said, "I got orders if you can come out right now." It took 76 weeks. And I once heard Harvey McKay give a speech where he said in his first job in sales, he went and talked to one of the old grizzled veteran salespeople in the organization and said, "When do I stop calling on a prospect?" And the grizzled vet said, "You die or he dies." But the idea is we never give up. If we know we can create value for people, we try to do it. We continue to pursue them, but it's a long campaign.
Love it. Love it. So again, everybody, I urge you to connect with Anthony. I want to remind everybody on this call, you guys have some, call it unique value propositions. You know, the move-up analysis. That conversation in itself, how you are helping a move-up home buyer understand the financial benefits of moving up in a total cost analysis, that's a unique value proposition that's going to create urgency and value for all the move-up home buyers that a realtor has. You know, first-time home buyer analysis. That is a great mortgage conversation for a mortgage expert to have with first-time home buyers to create urgency. Realtors know that first-time home buyers are like herding cats, and if you can be more than just a loan officer who does a pre-qual and closes a loan on time, you can be someone that helps their home buyer make a better decision, create some urgency around the value of home ownership. That's a sales proposition. You know, why buy now? You know, to be able to talk to a customer, understand their assumptions of the marketplace, tailor, you know, advice to their specific situation around, hey, if you buy this home now, and based on your assumptions of the market, again, not you, the loan officer's assumptions, but the home buyer's assumptions, this is what it means to you. Those are unique value propositions that you can use that are unique. Every loan officer's not doing it. You've got a unique tool with an edge video, with a link to the buyer, link to the realtor, and we're all here to help you guys. So I just want to remind you, this Thursday, every Thursday at 9 o'clock, we are doing a training. This Thursday is going to be around purchase strategies. So come this Thursday around purchase strategies. I also want to make sure everybody on this call, you have watched this 2-minute video that we created. We used an actual realtor, an actual loan officer, a home buying couple, and we showed the mortgage coach experience. You know, this is what average loan officers do. Average loan officers give fee worksheets. It lacks personal touch. It lacks detail. And we talked about how you could deliver an amazing mortgage experience. So in 2 minutes, you can watch this quick video. There's a link on our website. I'll put a link associated to today's coaching call. Make sure that you've watched that. Make sure that if you're a manager, your sales team has watched that, just to inspire everybody, have a unique value proposition. We're here to help you do it. So again, don't miss this Tuesday's call. Make sure you're implementing this strategy. If you want to have a non-mortgage coach member attend our Wednesday demo at 9 o'clock tomorrow, sign up on our Facebook page. And hopefully everybody on this call, by this time, you've all downloaded the Mortgage Coach app in either the iOS store or the Google store. So Anthony, we've getting to the top of the hour, and I want to be respectful of your time that you, as you did last time, you knocked it out of the park with just a great, I would say, sales principles of how to get meetings using the art and science of selling. Any last words of wisdom before we wrap it up?
No, thank you for being here. If I had to say one thing about this call, probably all of that stuff is useful, it's helpful, and if I can help you in any way, reach out, email me directly, and I'll do my best to give you whatever I can that will help you. But remember, I think at the beginning of this, we talked about how many people are actually using the tools. You've got the tools. Consistency is the difference. So it's a matter of always instead of sometimes, and it's sometimes difficult for us to remember that, but it's the consistency that really drives the results. So use the tools, and if we can help you, let us know.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. And by the way, I wanted to bring in a little nugget that Jim Sanger just put in the notes section. that the average home, at least in his market, according to NAR, sells within 5 weeks. So every listing out there that's 5 weeks or older, there's a realtor in paying. What could you do to wrap a finance strategy around that, create a unique value proposition, and leverage that to be unique and get a meeting? So, hey, Jim, thank you for that good little nugget of wisdom and all the great contributions on today's call. I'll see everybody next Tuesday. I hope many of you come to our training on Thursday. And once again, thank you, Anthony. I look forward to having you back in the community again. And I urge everybody to connect with Anthony on his blog and invite him to be a speaker at one of your events. Take care, my friend.
Thanks, Dave.